What did you expect? Welcome, Sonny. Make yourself at home. Marry my daughter. You've got to remember that these are just simple farmers. These are people of the land. The common clay of the New West. You know. Morons.
Welcome to Morons Mince Movies. I am your host, Moron Sam Munoz, and I'm here with my fellow morons, Uplester Peñalosa II and Akov, the true assassin killer, Arturo. That's right, I changed it up, and nobody knows about that because I don't know why.
We did not just spend the last 10 minutes not recording.
We did not just spend that. Yeah. Anyways,
we're morons.
We're talking about The Killer. The Killer by David Fincher,
starring Michael Fassbender.
That's right.
Streaming now on Netflix.
Yeah. And
did this movie actually ever go to the movie theaters?
It actually did. It was there for 2 weeks because Netflix is a thing to qualify for the Academy Awards.
That's right. I'm glad that you know that, Arturo. Yeah, that's very impressive.
So it must have not had a huge box office hit, but I mean they're relying on the
It's not supposed to. Exactly. It's already made its money by selling itself to Netflix.
Yeah.
Hey,
sort of, quick question. Prior to watching this movie, did you guys have a lot of exposure to it, like marketing wise? Because I don't remember seeing any billboards.
Because I subscribed to movie trailer channels, yes I did.
So see, I don't have that. Sam,
I can agree with you. There hasn't been much marketing, but I tend to follow these types of movies because, you know.
Interesting enough, I only spent 20 seconds watching the trailer, and I was hooked immediately.
I guess I'm the only one then. Yeah, I think I vaguely remember seeing the trailer on Netflix. It was a voiceover of Michael Fassbender, and I was like, yeah, that's good enough for me to watch it.
Magneto.
But it wasn't until we decided to mince this that I decided to watch it.
Let's get on with it because, you know.
Let's start the movie.
I want to do spoiler reviews from the beginning.
Did you get hooked up from the very beginning?
From the get-go. From the get-go, Arturo.
Yes, I was very hooked.
Yeah, same. I loved how it delved into the mind of the assassin.
Oh, yeah, me too. I love that. There's a lot of spoken word in this movie, I just got to say.
Yeah.
Even though I've said this probably once before. I don't know if I did or not. Man. Yeah, it feels like I've done this before.
Yeah.
Uble, how did you feel about the OCD-ness of everything?
See, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Arturo. Because that's one of the parts that I really enjoyed about this movie. Without getting too much into the whole, theme of the movie, I like that because I've seen other movies. I've seen movies like James Bond or your Jason Bourne where they do mention it very briefly. They'll be like, we need a cleanup in room 16.
Like a cleaning service.
Like a cleaning service. They'll show up and they'll clean it. And they don't really focus on the extents that the killer goes through to make sure that they're able to remain anonymous. This movie does the exact fucking opposite of that. And I can see why some people might
be turned off by that because it's so
turned off. They were like, this is fucking meticulous. This is boring. Why am I watching this guy scrub a sink after he brushes teeth? Because that's the point.
Yes.
They want you to see that side of what it would take to be a killer. He even says it in the fucking first 5 minutes, which is if you're not able to sit in a van for fucking hours and experience extreme boredom, then this job isn't for you. And that makes sense because a lot of what it takes to be a killer is just that kind of
sitting there
and
waiting.
Yeah. You don't make it long in this fucking line of work if you're not making sure to cover your tracks. That means no DNA left behind, no fingerprints, no fucking, clothes, pictures. He's always wearing the hat with the sun. I mean, that's just that really fucking special.
I believe that's something that you liked, right? That he
man.
Was dressed up as a German or something.
You would also avoid that person in real life.
Because you don't like Germans.
What my mates here are referencing is the fact that in the movie, Michael Fassbender, which they never actually say his real name.
They don't.
If you
he's
pay
credited
attention.
as the killer.
He's credited as the killer, and he uses various.
If you scroll up on IMDb
throughout
the entire movie, and I learned this recently by the internets. That the various aliases he uses are different TV dads.
Yes, they are.
Isn't that wild?
I saw that as an IMDb trivia.
That's very cool. So anyway, I like the fact that they show this person getting ready for that first kill, and I do have some questions about the actual progression of the movie because, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to get into it now or maybe come back to it, but what happens for the first 3/4 of the movie makes sense to me, and then at the very end, I was kind of left confused, maybe because I missed something.
The ending is good, actually,
Okay.
because it actually kind of brings into question everything that's happened beforehand.
Right.
And I believe that's where I feel that there's more to this movie than what's on the surface.
Let's get
of
to
it.
that part
Agreed.
then.
And right before you get into that, if I may, I had a very similar feeling to you, Uble, where I felt like everything was kind of ramping up.
Yeah.
And then it left it. Initially, my initial thought of the ending was it felt a little lackluster.
Anticlimactic.
Yes,
Yes.
anticlimactic is the best word
Yeah.
for it. But then once I stopped and kind of I thought more
Drop.
about it and read more about it, I'm like, holy shit! No, this is
It's
actually
really good.
very well
Yes.
edited. Yeah.
Yes. But I do want, let's go back to the beginning, because I do want to say I love the whole, I know you spend like 10, 15 minutes of the beginning of the movie just kind of with this guy sitting in a room, and you only hear his voiceover for the first 10 to 15 minutes about him talking about his profession, all the things that you talked about, Uble. I also want to say that I love the soundtrack. This is all Smith's
Yeah.
music.
Of course you
I
will.
was gonna mention that.
Which I fucking love. My wife and I saw this together. We were like, it's just Smith's movies. That's Smith's movies. Smith's music.
Yeah.
And it was great. I loved it.
This is the more Smiths have been in the soundtrack than
anything.
since 500 Days of Summer.
yeah,
To
that's
me
right.
personally.
And I was telling,
I
I was
thought it
telling my
Airbud
wife.
3. Are you sure it wasn't
No,
Airbud
it
3?
wasn't
Airbud
Airbud
3
3.
had a lot of Smith songs in it. But you might be right. It might have been 500 Days of Summer.
Ed Bud 3 and Melancholy Dog, I believe was the name of that,
That was
subtitle.
the open. That was the whole title sequence.
That's the one who plays football.
Yeah. But yeah, the Smiths was. I'm sure Lori fucking loved that.
Oh, Lori loved it. She's a
Of
huge
course.
Morrissey fan. And I was telling her, like, how the hell did they get Morrissey to agree with it? And then I realized it's only Smiths, not Morrissey, because Morrissey's a diva, and he'd be like, oh, I'm
He
not
would-
going
yep.
to. Yeah, so they probably only
Too
had
good
to go
for
to
that.
Johnny Marr and maybe another one of the other
Yeah.
musicians to get it. So that's how they got it. But yeah, great.
Great
the soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
Let's get into what happens.
What is the connection though? If both Laurie and the killer enjoy the Smiths,
I think it's just the kind of music
Lori
that
might be a
he just loved that music. I don't know. It's a good music to kill with. I don't know. I think
It
probably-
is.
It's if there's any music you want to play when you're about to assassinate someone, it's the Smiths.
Or
I just
Radiohead.
want to say. Or Radiohead, yeah.
So-
but I think Radiohead would depress you so much that you'd be like, I don't know if my life is worth it.
kill myself.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Shooting yourself.
Let's commit suicide and then kill you. Yeah, no. So the soundtrack was great. I let's start talking about what happens then. So
Yeah, it was
this
a
is
big
where I
moment,
get
a big
confused
moment.
because I don't know if I missed anything, but in the beginning it starts off with him. He clearly has a target, right?
yes,
This is
It's
where
the
he
rich guy, the rich
talks-
old guy.
yes.
yes.
He's
The one who
talking about-
hired the dominatrix.
Ooh, that's a good scene to put right
Yeah.
there.
So he's talking about the prep that it
you
takes.
see
Oh,
it,
by the
by the
way,
way?
she.
No.
By the way,
So we're gonna
you
spoil
haven't seen this
everything?
movie?
Don't
Oh.
care to watch
By the way,
it.
she
yeah.
was the body double in place as Proxima Midnight in Infinity War and Endgame.
I don't know what any of that
That's
means.
fantastic, Arturo.
Oh, the
Thank
girl
you.
that-
I would
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
Here is
As
me
you can see
flipping
here-
up, Arturo. As you can see here.
The more you know.
Just
As you
kidding.
can see here is Proxima Midnight in Infinity War.
So
I
anyway,
knew you were
he
gonna go
has
to
he
that.
has the target. Okay, he
Writing
has
this
the
down.
target, and he misses. Right, he misses his target because this girl gets in the way, and immediately he goes into like fucking bounce.
Yeah.
and I love that part of it, by the way, which he like
Oh, the
immediately
chase,
shaves, and he
yes.
like washes everything,
And the way he throws things away
He changed-
in
he's
different
throwing shit
time
as
frames.
He's walking.
Yep.
And that was very Jason Bourne, but more realistic. Like I'm just getting rid of any fucking possible
Yep.
trace, putting on the hat, and it doesn't end when he gets to the airport.
No.
When I was like, okay, you made it to the airport, you're on the plane, now time to relax, take off
no.
the sunglasses. This motherfucker kept it going till he got home, and he fucking checked into the driveway, and like this guy just never turns off, and I really like that part about
Yeah.
this.
Yes, think about that as we're talking about.
Yeah.
Even the additional fact of like the guy who looks suspicious.
Oh, yeah.
And he even purposely delayed his flight and got on a
Because
different
of
one
that,
because of that
yes.
guy.
We jumped something here though. So the reason that causes all of that is because he fucks up. Well,
Yeah.
So the dominatrix got in the way.
the dominatrix got in
At
the
the
way.
last second, at the last possible second, she
I'm
gets
just
in the
gonna
way.
I'm gonna throw this out there. He fucks up. I'm gonna throw this out there.
Yeah.
I'm already basically giving
I mean, that's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Why'd you put in quotations?
Because you're saying that you're saying that you didn't understand. I think the ending,
no,
and I
I
think
got
the
that- I
ending
got
makes
that
it
part.
clear.
No, yeah, I
oh,
got
so
that
then
part.
what's the unclear thing here? Well, anyways, all right. So he kills the woman.
I'll get to it.
He kills the girl, right?
Right.
He kills the girl when he was
Instead
supposed
of
to
the old
kill.
guy.
He was supposed to kill the guy.
Yes.
And now he's like, oh shit. Like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I did
bounces.
something wrong. Blah. He's going. He does.
Well,
all
he's
the
been
things
having
that you guys-
conversations too with his employer during this.
Yeah,
time.
he does have the info.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and the guy's like, "You're what the fuck's going
And I
on?"
love that additional note too. That every time he had a phone call with him, he immediately smashed his phone right after.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
You know, that's kind of the attention to detail. So this is where I kind of from my memory is it goes immediately to him going back to visit that lawyer professor who kind of brought him in.
That was
You're wrong.
way later.
No, that's way
Okay,
later.
so what happens
He goes
that
back to his house.
Right.
His house in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
He goes back to the house in the Dominican Republic, and then he notices there's something wrong because he sees some footprints, some cigarette butts, and there's something going on. So he's like, goes in there, gun drawn, and he's like, something's going on, blah, blah, blah. We come to find out that his
There's
girlfriend or wife, we don't
His
really know,
lover.
has been beaten up and almost killed. And now he's on a sort of vengeance
Yes.
trail.
What the fuck?
Did you not watch this fucking movie?
No, I watched this entire movie. That entire part just doesn't ring a bell to me.
It must have been.
Are you serious?
It must have been when you were hitting the bong,
No.
you fucking
No,
dope
no, no,
head.
no. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. I could have sworn. So look, I'm gonna be honest with you
Yeah.
guys, which is I didn't see this movie in one sitting. So this is one of those situations
This is
where
the problem with Netflix movies.
no, it's not the I mean it is.
Yeah.
But it was very scheduling wise and energy wise. It's been a very busy week. So it was
Thanksgiving
one of
was
those
yesterday.
situations. Yes, for
For
us,
us who, during this time frame.
it's
Today is Black Friday.
Today's Black Friday. So this entire week leading up to tonight's recording has been very hectic. So I had to squeeze it into like, okay, I'm going to watch this part right now.
2 bursts.
And I'm going to pick up where I left off. So my only guess is that in that transition from me stopping it the one night to resuming it the next day,
You missed that somehow.
it somehow kept playing or it just...
Maybe Mia's watched that.
Maybe
that
all
part.
she knows about this movie is that one scene that I missed.
So you cut to the part where he goes to
So
the.
I immediately cut to
the
the part
lawyer.
where he
Do
goes
you
to the
remember
lawyer.
Leo? You don't remember Leo, the taxi cab driver?
Yes, he kills the taxi cab driver before.
Holy shit.
None of that. God.
Wow. There's a huge chunk you missed, dude.
So
Can
You
we pause
easily-
the podcast recording so that I can go
no,
back?
and rewatch
okay,
it?
no, you're
You
fucked.
easily missed like 20 minutes, dude.
Yeah, you did.
I did feel like it was a short movie because I was like, wow, 2 nights.
At least
Like
you
20
at
minute
least
sittings.
missed 20 minutes.
And,
Yeah,
and
I
somehow
saw
you
them.
still liked it. That's a goes
I
to
still
prove that
liked
this is a
it.
pretty decent
I
movie.
still liked
I
it.
saw it the night of Friendsgiving, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Wow, after.
Yeah.
All right.
After,
All right.
yeah.
I had seen
Yeah.
it beforehand, but it's yeah.
Oh,
no,
wait, no, I lied because we talked about it there.
I think
Yeah,
we
you
did talk
did,
about
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
He probably
It was
saw
the night before
previous
Friendsgiving,
Friendsgiving.
yeah.
Anyway, going
Your
back to
other
the movie, he
Friendsgiving.
does go back. He finds out his girlfriend / wife. We don't know what's going on with these two, but
Yeah.
is beaten, and so he goes on a vengeance trail to find out who is responsible for beating or almost killing his wife or girlfriend. And then that's when he finds out that there was a taxi guy who brought these thugs or whatever they are to his house, and that's when he gets Leo, right? Leo is his name?
Oh,
What?
yes.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
taxi
yeah,
driver.
yeah.
Sorry,
Remember the name.
I've been smelling his fucking freshener this whole time. I thought it was something coming out of this, but yes, that's correct. He does find Leo, and he does that. I love that how he like shook him down. And he looked him up and all this information. Yeah, that was awesome.
I gotta say that
Yeah.
it was a little tough for me after that scene because he kills the taxi driver,
Yeah.
and I feel like the taxi driver was
innocent. Yeah.
innocent.
Well, that's what I loved because throughout the film we got this
No empathy.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
empathy, no
There's a lot
empathy
of things that were said at the
became
beginning.
less and less as it went on. You know, he started because like he killed him, Leo, and we're like, oh no, like Leo was cool, like you know
Yeah.
this and that. He was innocent. And then, not to jump too far ahead, but then when he's in the situation with the lawyer's assistant who knows all the information and she's asking just please,
Eleanor.
like kill me, like spare me in a type of sense,
Yeah.
like let my kids life insurance.
Yeah.
And he snaps her neck before she falls down the stairs, making it look like an accident.
Yep.
So there was that inclination, and we'll get more towards the end. But
No, you're
you
right.
had those things progressing throughout the film.
And it's all connects to the beginning. The beginning is
And
very
it's-
important.
yes, yes,
The
yes, his
beginning is
mantra.
telling his
Yes.
all his philosophy of
How
who
he's
he is
made
as a
it- how
killer.
He's made it this far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it was. My throat. And damn it, damn it.
You need some water, man?
I was gonna give up, but then I didn't give up.
You want some whiskey?
So when that happened, when he killed the taxi driver, I was kind of like, oh man, like it's hard for me to kind of, because when you have a main character, you need something to sort of follow him along. If he's gonna be a villain, he needs to be he needs to have something that I can kind of like hang on to follow him. And at that point, I was like, this guy is kind of just like evil. I don't know if it's gonna be hard for me to follow him, you know, and him as the main character and who we're supposed to kind of like, you know, not root for, but sort of be empathize in some sense.
Yeah.
Like,
and root
we're being put in his shoes is what the movie is doing.
Yeah.
So
it's his point of view that we're watching this.
Yeah. But as the movie goes on, I started to accept his way of life and everything like that. Like, oh, I understand why. As the movie went on, I understand why he killed the taxi driver. At that point, I didn't understand it, but then I understand it later on. But moving on, after the taxi driver, let's go back to where Uble finally watched, which we got into the lawyer.
He goes back to his head lawyer, professor, who apparently
is his employer.
This person, the killer, was in law school at one point.
Yes,
and this professor was like, I have better options for you, and he brought him into this line of work, and he's going back to him. Now it makes sense to find out who was behind this job that got his partner, spouse, friend injured / killed. Maybe, I don't know. And the lawyer's like, what the fuck are you doing here? That was both confusing and awesome to me, because I was like, maybe we'll explain it later. I'm just going to go with it. Even though
so
I
the
don't
fact
really...
that the film, by the way, went from part 1, the title card, to part 3, the title card, you had... It still didn't...
It's just chapters in this.
Literally, there was...
I shit you not. I saw that and I was like, maybe I just missed the part where it said chapter 2. I shit you not. I hand on the Bible,
countries
I swear.
every time.
And by the way,
seeing chapter 3 and I was like, fuck, they're already in chapter 3. When was chapter 2? And I thought to myself, I mean, I'm sure I must have missed the word part, but I'm sure it's chapter 2 now.
It must have been during my favorite Smith song and I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, it must have been that time that I, changed
Is it
the
Girlfriend in
thermostat.
a Coma? Is that your favorite Smith song?
Yeah, that's my
Girlfriend in a
favorite
Coma?
one.
Nice.
Yeah. Regardless, I started with that scene where he goes back to see the lawyer. Arturo's yawning at me.
It's 1 in the morning, so
we go back to that scene where he goes to see the lawyer, and the lawyer has to give him information. The way he kills the lawyer,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
you guys
it's like he should have 5 to 6 minutes or whatever it was.
I love that
like,
he got it wrong. I love that it wasn't.
He bled out early. Yeah,
right away. He gargled it.
I want to say, like, I love the fact that you only get small glimpses of this kind of world, and it really is the perspective of the killer and Michael Fassbender's character, and you know that there's like this expansive world around him, but you're only getting the glimpses that he's present for, right, or that we're getting within this story. And I love that there's sort of this like, there's almost this like John Wick sort of world going on here, but you don't get all the details, and it's just like glimpses of like, oh, there's this lawyer and he's kind of ahead of something here, and the secretary is definitely in on it and everything like that.
You find this out as you go along.
Yeah. And I loved all that, and and just the way he kills the lawyer. I love the level of violence there that you get, and it hits harder because you have this sort of
so real.
You have this long time of like no violence, where it's just like him talking and the voiceover and him you're in his mind all the time.
In those minutes of non-talking that you just referenced is where she's eventually giving him the information that he's looking for. And I love how meticulous they are, that they show it on how paranoid they are and how so it'll be like, what date did this happen? And he's like, November 17th. And he goes, okay, November, that's NOV. So go to the letter N. And he has to go to the letter N.
And have an old
and he's all like 17th. So like the fact that they even showed that on video, they didn't reference it. They just showed her going through these process that they do to keep this information hidden. I was like, even fucking more steps of layers of how meticulous they are in making sure that this shit. So I really like that part of it. But she gives him the name of the two people, and
Yes.
then we go to Florida. I know we're missing
And
a lot.
we
but-
find out that it is the client who hired him to assassinate the one he was supposed to
Yes.
assassinate,
Yes.
who ends up hiring the two
other
assassins,
assassins.
who was going. They went to his house to kill him, but they ended up finding the girlfriend and they beat her up.
Yeah.
So we get
And when-
3 pieces of information
Yes.
for both assassins and for the actual client.
Mhm.
And we see him head off to Florida where
For
he
the
meets
first
the
one.
first assassin,
Yes.
which
Damn,
was
that whole
the
scene.
whole that
Ooh.
was the most action-packed sequence
Yeah.
in the entire movie. That's what the Netflix trailer made it seem like it was going to be the
They
entire
did focus
time.
on that a lot. Yeah.
That fight scene
Was badass.
Yeah, it
Holy
was fucking
shit.
badass.
Like
Yeah.
the fact that he was like literally like out, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like he was at a disadvantage, like the whole
Yeah.
fucking time. He was getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh fuck, is he gonna survive? I mean, I'm sure he was, but like it still gave you that like, oh my god, like this is fucking brutal. The punching
It was
through
great.
walls.
It was great, and
Holy
there's
shit.
and there's like
By the way, real quick, that assassin actor was Sauron in Lord of the Rings.
what?
He was the guy in the fucking
That one?
outfit. Yep, he
What
was
are you
in
talking
the suit.
about? Wait,
He
what?
was Sauron.
So for
Lord
the
of the Rings.
original Lord of the Rings, he's the one that wore
He-
the actual outfit.
he's
that
the one
they
on
used
set.
to depict Sauron.
What's his name?
Salah Baker, the actor. But Sauron is the,
Nice. Oh, that's very cool to know.
I did not know
More
that.
more points for this movie then.
If you can see here,
But so
I would like
that-
to.
I like that entire scene. So I like the build up. Like they spent at least 5-10 minutes showing how he's like observing this household.
Yes.
And like prepping the dog meat to knock
yeah.
out the dog.
Oh, so yeah, because
and
when,
he weighs it.
yes, sorry, real quick. So when they goes to the convenience store and buys all the sleep time aid and the meat
Yeah.
and the fucking 40 ounce.
Yeah.
Like my immediate thought was knowing because he had mentioned earlier in the film how like you don't really get sleep as an assassin.
Yeah.
And like, oh, he's just trying to get some sleep. And he had mentioned something about red meat
Yeah.
earlier about like
No,
taking care of
I
himself.
knew right away.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, and a nice
He's just
malty
buying
beverage.
his- yeah. He's
Like-
just going gangster for his meals tonight. Yeah.
And how it
No.
came into play was so
Yeah.
fucking well done. I remember audibly telling my wife, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
XYZ.
See?
And it was
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That part I really enjoyed because it kind of it set it up to where you think he's gonna be successful and be able to kind of confront this guy and catch him off guard, and then you just the guy comes out of nowhere like, no, you're not, and then
It was
the
great.
next fucking 5 minutes is just a very beautiful choreograph.
Yeah, very minimal cuts in
Yep.
that whole scene,
Yeah,
which was
I
great. That's a
love
very
long
well
cuts.
directed
Brutal.
scene.
Brutal.
It was
Stabbings
good.
and breakings.
I loved it. Yeah, and I know people are going. I like that you brought up at the beginning that some people are going to be turned off by this movie because there's a lot of moments of silence.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
again, it's almost self-referential of what it's like to actually be a killer, in that there's a lot of moments of doing nothing, but then when something happens, it's like fucking like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the most stressful thing.
Turned up to 11.
Yeah, exactly. And this is how this movie was.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed how it was self-referential in that way, and how the
Yep.
movie progressed, and how it went from event to event, where you're like lots of silence, lots of voiceover, and then fucking an event happens,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh,
Oh,
shit!
shit, what's
And
going
then
on?
back to
Yeah.
silence again, and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and then on that same note, like I remember telling my wife after watching the movie, I loved the juxtaposition between how brutal everything went and how it was literally just like combat and straight like brute force and brawn
Yeah.
with this assassin. But yet when he met the Q-tip, Tilda Swinton,
Q-tip.
it
Yes.
was
Good.
all mental.
Good
Yeah.
segue. Good
Yeah.
segue.
Yeah,
That was
I
good.
appreciate
That was
that.
Yeah, I really like.
And I love it.
Tilda
It was all
Swinton.
mind games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also a great scene. Great dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Very well written scene. That whole thing at the restaurant.
right?
where she orders the
was so
whiskey.
tense.
She realizes death is on her doorstep.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Very tense, and his paranoia to not try any of the food that she's trying to offer
Yep.
him,
Yeah.
and even
Up
her,
until the very, very end.
even her acknowledging like you won't even try that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man,
Yep,
you're just fucking
He's that good.
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, and I'm gonna admit something. At this point of the movie, I thought she was the client, and my wife was the one who was like, "No,
Yeah.
she's one of the assassins." I was like, "No, she can't be one of the assassins.
how
Like
fancy
that
she
can't
is."
be her.
Yeah.
Like she's the client.
Yeah.
She was the one." because they give it away that it's the client. No, I just felt like
a girl
she was
can't
the client.
be an assassin.
But then you come as the conversation goes, it becomes clear that she's not. She was actually one of the assassins that was hired to kill him. And everything like that. So yeah, but that whole scene, I agree with you, Arturo. Probably one of the best scenes in the movie is just talking. Dude. It's tense and it was so good.
Completely agreed. And like on that same note, I just want to point out, like, I love to hate Tilda. She has so many great roles where she's so unlikable in the best way. Like, god damn, she's nailing it every single time. My first exposure to her was in Constantine. She was Gabriel.
Constantine.
I fucking hated her, and I'm like, you're good.
Yeah,
you made me hate you really good, and she has that great fucking quality to her, and I loved seeing her in this because that was powerful. Yeah. And it definitely needed to be someone who could bring that levity to it, and she did.
And her last ditch effort, which was beautifully revealed.
Oh my god, yeah! So she falls on her heels, like help a girl out.
Can't blame a girl for trying.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. She gets shot through the head. We find out she had a knife in her hand.
Yeah, man. Yep. Very beautiful. And again, no empathy. You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Don't improvise. Anticipate.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Yeah. And then so after he eventually kills off her,
now we get to the client. Now we get to the real client.
And that whole process, man.
Of him getting access to the building. Yep.
And the fact that they the fact that you can get those fob fucking cloners on Amazon.
Yeah, my wife brought that up. I was like, you can fucking get shit everything on Amazon.
Yeah. That's how real this is to me.
Thank you, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Like this whole film, I really loved about it. It felt so grounded and so real. And then when it brought this to the god damn, that's like wow.
Yeah, no, it felt very Ocean's 11, where it was all it needed was that Ocean's 11 jazz soundtrack to it. And it would have hit because it's very
Instead
him.
You got the Smiths.
Instead we got the Smiths. But he's observing this person's locker room, and he uses the technology to open it up.
He signed up for the gym.
He even makes a comment of like fucking most secure building in my ass,
Oh, when he gets in there. When he gets in there.
So see, I'm glad we got to this now. We're doing really good, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad with the timing on this,
magnificent timing.
We should do like a fake fake out episode every time, and then force us to redo it.
Makes us rush those first 2 minutes. Like ha 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 ha, and then you said this. Ha 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 ha. Okay, let's get on with it now.
You should just set this camera up to fuck up every 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes,
like the first 10 minutes, we literally put like 2 minutes.
Dry run.
Yeah, we did it well. God damn, this is good. So, anyways, going back to this is where this movie gets really interesting, and I think this is where half of the audience, and this is why I think the grade is what it is in terms of critics and things like that. I think this is where half of the audience is like, what the fuck? And like they feel anticlimactic, and they're like, what the fuck's going on here? Like why didn't he kill the last guy?
Yep.
And so you're like expecting this sort of like, this is Bill and Kill Bill, like this is like, this has got to be
the final
this is
moment.
Like we've had all these crazy encounters, and then you get to the final one and it's very anticlimactic.
He's like, do we got beef or what?
Yeah,
that's basically what he comes down to. Is like, are we good or what?
And it's like,
and the guy was like, I assure you, we are good. And he was all right then.
The thing is that he doesn't even, and it's interesting because I was even thinking about this when it started, because the scene starts, he's there in the apartment, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Who the fuck are you? Like, why do you have a gun?
Very defensive.
Like, am I being robbed?" Like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
It is weird, and I think the audience understands. Like, why doesn't he get it that he's there for the reason that he wanted someone killed?
Yeah.
Like, is it really not that big a deal in this person's life that he fucking hired an assassin? And I was just like thinking, like, he just doesn't care. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and you're wondering, and I was just wondering, like, why doesn't he get it? And it was great that at the end of that conversation, he says it himself. Yeah, I was like, it's interesting to me. Like, I got here and you didn't know why I was
standing here with the silencer.
Yeah, and you didn't know why I was here,
and you had no idea why I was here.
There's a lot going on in that one line, not just for who the client is, but just what's going on in this entire story. Yeah. So I kind of want to get, before I get my thoughts as to what's going on, I want to get your guys' 100%. Thoughts.
And like something that I want to point out real quick before I divulge my own thoughts is that throughout the film, he's been wearing all these shades of gray.
right?
because he's living this
50
morally.
Shades of Grey, would you say?
Maybe
50.
50 Shades Freed.
Yeah. Sorry.
Because he's living in his own morality thing, and we're constantly hearing his mantra, the thing he keeps repeating to himself. And throughout the film, though, we are seeing him give in to a little bit more and more about empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And right before the very end of the film, you see him wearing black.
Oh yeah,
He's wearing all black in his standoff with Tilda, and then in the apartment, he's wearing the black hat, the black outfit. Everything is black, 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 black.
Yeah.
Why? Because the night is darkest before the dawn. And we're going to get to the final end. He is wearing all white. So I just thought that was a really interesting thing of progressing how the film kept going. And again, everything was leading up to this moment. And he, like on one side, we see more of his humanity, but at the same time, he's getting darker because he's finally getting to that point where he's going to find the client, take everything out on said client for doing what he did to him. And now we've reached this point where it's like this much bigger thing of where he is within everything, what he's realized, the fact that the client wasn't even fully aware of everything, which is what the tipping point was for him, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that take on it because the way I saw it was basically, he kind of realized right then and there that this person, there wasn't anything personal to it. Like that's just the way I saw it when like he wanted to confirm that this wasn't like a targeted thing where like he it was his plan, and his response was like, no dude, I hired someone and I got a call that it went sideways, and
So I took out the insurance policy.
so they asked me if I wanted the insurance, and I fucking took it. Like that's all. And I was like, I can relate to that shit. Like
Oh, really?
I'm not in the sense
you
of
called
hiring
it a
someone to
killer?
kill someone.
Yeah.
More in the sense of like if I hired someone to do something to my house, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm hiring you to install a charger for my vehicle. And he says, okay, it's going to be this much. And I go, awesome, do it. And then I'm at work and I get a call from him and he says, didn't anticipate this happening, but it happened. It's going to be an extra $500. We can take care of it. My first response would be like, okay, yeah, do it. Go for it.
Unknowingly realizing he murdered 4 people to get there.
Right. So again, it changes when you're talking about actual killing people.
Yeah.
But in that sense of mindset, which is like, okay, more money.
FBI,
all
his
right,
name is Ublester Peñalosa, the second.
I assure you, I haven't looked into anyone being murdered or killed.
Sure.
Anyone
It's much easier
unalived.
to just do the job yourself. You save thousands of dollars. You can buy the materials at the local Lowe's or
At
Home
the local
Depot.
Home Depot.
And Amazon.
And you're set.
I like
Or
to
Amazon.
hire the Mexicans at the Home Depot to do my killing.
That's nice. You're helping the community by doing that. So I ultimately that's the way I saw that last interaction with this guy, and I kind of didn't understand why he would let him live, because this guy's whole mantra has been like no empathy and no fucking traces. I'm gonna scrub the sink where I brushed my teeth to make sure no one is able to trace me. However, I'm gonna interact with this person face to face.
Yep.
He hears my voice. He sees my face. He knows what I'm here about, and I'm gonna let him live.
And
Go
on
for
that
it.
note,
Wait. Okay. I think it's my turn. You giving your thoughts?
fine. I have like an additional thought, but okay.
We'll
come back to me.
I have to say I like your interpretation.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't think about that. I like it. I think it's good. I have a different interpretation. I think he had this plan all along. That is my interpretation. That he wanted to get out of the job.
Okay.
And he figured this was his chance to get out of it, and this is why I did the quotes of killing the missing the mark. You have everything you see throughout the movie. You see how calculated it is. We've been talking about it throughout this review. How calculated it is. How much of a perfectionist he is, and you even have that conversation going back to the Tilda Swinton scene where she tells the joke of the bear. It is a very important scene. He tells the joke of the bear, and
I saw so many memes on that.
Yeah.
and you have the hunter who goes and he constantly misses the bear, and the bear says like,
So
well,
I should live, but
either
I'm
I
gonna
eat
fuck
you
you.
or I fuck you in the ass. And he says, oh, well, I guess I'm gonna get fucked in the ass. He goes back, he gets another gun, he misses the bear again, and you know the
Over
rules,
and over again.
and he gets fucked in the ass again.
Yeah.
And then the last time the bears were like, I think you're doing this on purpose, aren't
Yeah.
you? You're not here. You're here for the ass fucking,
here
aren't
for
you?
the hunting? I think he says,
Are you here for the hunting or are you here for the ass fucking? Anyways,
That's an exact quote for the film.
so I think that scene, and I want to thank my wife, because my wife and I had a conversation at this movie.
Go
after
you,
this
Lori.
movie, And we were like, what's going on? Because the last scene, this whole climactic scene, which is anticlimactic, it screams like there's something more going on here.
Yes.
And her and I was like, wait, let's go back. What the conversation? Maybe he missed on purpose. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right, honey. He missed on purpose. That was his plan all along. Everything and you go back and you see like, don't improvise, anticipate. Like that his mantra, don't improvise. He's not improvising. We think that he is, but he's not. He's always this has always been his plan from the beginning, and has been an actually meticulously planned thing to get him out of the profession. He wanted to kill the lawyer. He wanted to kill the assassins, to cover everything that was coming after him after he did this, not killing the guy he was supposed to kill. And then when he got to the client, it didn't matter anymore to him. Okay. It didn't matter because if he killed the client, then it would have caused more of things that he had to cover up. Yeah. So he knew that the client was just another one of these billionaires who was just like, I need to take care of something, and he just got into the whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter to him, and as long as he puts the fear of God in him, that's all that really matters. And he can close it. Yeah. He can close it there and live his life with his girlfriend, wife, whatever it might be, his lover, and that was it. That was my interpretation, that it was always planned.
I know. I really like that that interpretation, just 'cause, it was something that I necessarily thought about. But like throughout the film, we do get those hints of talking about like retiring and leaving and being able to walk away from it all.
Yeah,
and that's brought up a handful of times. And then Tilda really, really hammers it home. And to me, again, it was more of an evolutionary thing, and that's when I felt like that's what prevented him from killing the client, because he saw a way out. And the sentence alone of him saying, "I can come back at any point," and all it takes is like the poison on the glass type of thing. Like he now took all the power away from the client, and now he has it, and that's why he's able to retire. That's the way I had interpreted it.
He just needed to put the fear of it on him.
Yeah. But it was very, very fucking well done, regardless of the interpretation. At the very end, like now seeing it again, or now that we've discussed it again, like fuck no, that ending was supposed to be that ending. Yeah,
Yeah. No. And I go back again to the beginning where there is a very he has this whole. So he's very he doesn't cuss a lot throughout his voiceover, but he has that one scene at the beginning where he says like, "I don't give a fuck."
Yes.
And it's very meaningful. Like he really doesn't give a fuck.
Did anyone else real quick think he was gonna say, "I don't miss"?
No, I thought he was gonna say, "I don't care," but he said, "I don't give a fuck," and that is very drawn out, and it's very in focus. So after, again, towards at the end when my wife and I were talking about it, that's why I accepted that interpretation. It was always planned. He doesn't give a fuck, and he didn't kill the lady in that way because he empathized with her, because it was the best way to kill her.
Makes sense. Yeah.
It was the best way to kill her.
Yep.
And not leave any tracks, not leave anything.
Also gave her kids the life insurance.
Yeah, but that wasn't the point.
Yeah, he got what he needed.
That wasn't the point. He needed to get what he wanted.
And he didn't have to worry about disposing of a body like he did.
He needed
the way he disposed of the lawyer guy with different fucking concrete bags and different. That was time consuming.
Exactly.
It would have been taking too much time to
that
have
was
to do
that was fucking awesome.
That was
exactly. And the whole scene with the elevator, need help getting rid of
that body. I was like,
and the super nervous laughter.
Yeah. And I'm glad you bring that up because, again, it reinforces it. The reason he killed her wasn't because he empathized it that way. It was because it was the most efficient way to kill her. Kill her.
And it was just it was a win-win that it ended up benefiting her as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it mattered that was it. And I mean, that makes him more of an evil character. But that's actually what made the movie more interesting to me. So yeah. All right, guys. I think this is a good bunch more. And let's give our grades.
Yeah. What was my grades? I forgot now. It's been a while.
We're changing it up, I guess, every time.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I was doing
stars.
thumbs.
You're doing thumbs.
I was doing thumbs, right? Yeah. Sideways up. This is 2 thumbs up from.
2 thumbs up. Wow, you really liked it.
Yeah, I did. Because again, my very first time watching it, I really, really enjoyed it. But then I was like, the ending, I needed a little bit more. But now, after rediscussing and looking at the film again and reading more about it, I was like, no, that was supposed to be the way it was done, and I really, really appreciated it. And seeing him at the very end with his lover on the beach, wearing and just that peace, that retirement. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah.
But there's also the little twitch that he gets at the end. By the way, I don't know if you noticed.
Twitch.
There's a
I don't think
twitch.
I did.
There's a twitch. Like he's
very
like
subtle.
it's
Like
like
his eye
that
just-
life is still in him. But
Yep.
he's like, yeah.
I don't think I caught it. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it
Watch
happens.
it again.
Last few
Ooblet
seconds.
missed 20 minutes, but it looks like I missed the last 5 seconds.
Yep.
I really enjoyed this movie. There was a couple things missing. I didn't talk a lot about the negatives, but I really liked it a lot. I think this is another one of David Fincher's good movies. He hasn't really missed with me, so
No, same.
I'm gonna give it an A minus. A minus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing prevents me from giving it an A or A plus is just that it's all about the emotional thing with me, and I didn't really get that. But I just loved how it was thought provoking, and it made me think, and I gave it a conversation, and A minus for me.
So just to show you how good of a movie this is for me, at least, even with those 20 missing minutes where I didn't quite understand why he was targeting these other two assassins, what job was he referencing that went wrong, and I still was ready to give it like a C plus B minus, and then when you guys explained the 20-minute gap that I had and why he went after those two, it immediately kind of shot it up to, I'd say, an A for me, man.
Really?
hell
God
yeah.
damn, that's
Because of the fact that, again, they did something that I had not seen before, which is that attention to the how meticulous someone in this line of work would have to be. And I'm not lying to you. Every time I've seen a movie like James Bond or Jason Bourne or John Wick where there's a huge murder scene, I always think to myself, there's still going to be a police investigation into this whole murder. A bunch of gunshots went off in the middle of the town square. They have DNA technology. They have cameras. They're going to be able to fucking find. So my brain, for some stupid reason, works that way.
No,
and this
that's good,
movie satisfied that part of my movie experience, which is that's how they're not going to be able to trace him down.
Yeah.
That's how, even with the police investigation, they're not going to be able to track this guy
just
down. So I love that a lot.
The inclusion of the room service scene
Yeah.
really did it for me too. The fact that he basically ordered room service just to put the cup up top so he can hear it open and the lid.
Oh yeah.
On the door.
Yeah.
Like oof.
That's right.
Yeah, that really did a lot for me, and then the killings.
Hell yeah. And I just want to point out, Fassbender was absolutely fucking amazing in this role.
He really was.
He's one of the best of our generation, I feel, honestly, as an actor. He never fucking fails to deliver. And
That's
this is his first film since becoming a dad, if I'm not mistaken.
Which
He hasn't
was also present, as you can see here, for that birth.
There was Arturo giving a thumbs up in the back.
But it's his first
that
film since
worked.
Dark Phoenix, actually. It's been 4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for that fun fact.
Oh,
Arturo. I really enjoyed mincing this.
I think
I
we
did
really
too.
minced this one
Yeah,
up,
it was
right?
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
it,
Man,
All
watch
right.
it if you haven't. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on
not
Netflix.
going
I
anywhere.
recommend it with the Morons recommended. Please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube and Facebook. Does anybody is still on Facebook?
We
I
have
don't
a
even know.
Facebook?
I have MySpace.
I think so. Yeah, we're also on the X. I guess I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It got renamed, right? I saw that.
Yeah. But
We have
anyways,
Twitter?
no one cares. So, as always.
Have a dark night.
Dark Knight.